Alright guys, we're back again today building loadouts for viewers. Now this is episode 15 and we had a very simple but interesting request come through. Now I think I'm saying it right, Ian Dice 2165. He said $6,000 budget and the only request is getting a butterfly or karambit Gamma Doppler in there, which means we've got a lot of room to potentially cook. So, straight away for the knife, I went for a Phase 3 Gamma Doppler Butterfly. Now, this knife is $4,600. Now, so this eats up a vast amount of the budget, which is then why you see me pairing it with overprint gloves. On the green side, emerald webs didn't really fit. Hedge mazes didn't really fit, and the turtle gloves weren't really going to be the vibe for it, but because the Phase 3 has so much like cyany blue, and you're still getting that Gamma Doppler vibes on the butterfly, I thought going minimum wear overprints for $345, making this basically a $5,000 combination, was the best play, because it looks pretty slick and the colours pair really nicely together. It then does mean you've got about $1,000 for weapon skins and agents, and just to cover the CT agent, we have Lieutenant Commander Ricksaw, the usual pick here for $12.39. What I liked about this was, even though it's a Gamma Doppler knife, we're not actually forcing towards green, which is normally like the go-to approach. We actually get to go for like blues and cyan, so like the Neo Noir, for example, on the USP, $21.50. This has nice cyan colors and blue accents, so overall with the overprints, it actually works quite nicely. PD50, we're going for the nice option of the X right here, 25 cent minimal wear. Again, we are going to be playing heavily into cyan vibes here, which means we get a fantastic pick for the Desert Eagle. We can go for the Midnight Storm. Now, you want to get this factory new, you want it to be as low float as possible because it will get scuffs, but it's still around $30. So even with all the market rises recently, this is just consistently sort of sat around the $30 mark, which is a little bit interesting to me. Now, you could be considering, what about the Tilted? It's much cheaper, maybe it could be a fit. It's not the right sort of cyan for the gloves, unfortunately. Now, as we're clearing up the cyan picks for the CT pistols, I think Hydro Strikes are the best shot here for the Jolies. They're super cheap, just over $1. Get them in minimal wear. Obviously, there are other colors on there. You've got like a deeper blue and a bit of orange, but ultimately, there's that lovely cyan accent. Now, the 5.7 gets a pretty nice pick because it's the foil play, and these colors overall blend really nicely. The glove has bits of black on it with the cyan, so does the skin. Obviously, the foil play and having the chicken feathers sort of falling in the artwork is a bit interesting, and it'll sting you for $4.26. The MP9 was where options kind of lacked, but the only good option is still a very good skin, so it's still a win still. You get a Mount Fuji minimal wear for $8.69. This is always a very solid MP9 skin, one of the best in the game. MP7, honestly, kind of lack of options. I went through the series, it's 22 cent minimal wear. If you're not going to want to use an MP7, then obviously save yourself a small, well, a few pennies really. And on the UMP, I would have always said Primal Saber in the past, but I kind of like the new KO Factory. It is $9 in minimal wear, and yes, for the same price, you could consider it the UMP Neo Noir as well. But I thought going for something new, appreciate the new artwork style, would be interesting. The XM is a no-brainer pick. It's also very cheap. If you can get a Slipstream, it's 31 cents factory new, and the color pairing is pretty much perfect. The Mag 7 had some limitations, but you can still spend, it's almost $2, but it's the BI-83 Spectrum in minimal wear. It's got enough blues and cyans there throughout the sort of mixed color effect, almost looking like an oil spill. But as I've always said, the meat and potatoes here, the rifle skins. Now on CT side, you are blessed for options. The first one is you can go for an Icarus Fell. This is personally what I ran whenever I had overprints, and it was such a vibe. In fact, you knew the magazine's still going to get some wear if you go closer to 00 float, which you can sometimes get without much overpay. It can be a shout, but this is so much like nice cyany blue over the top of it with those deep blues as well. It will cost you $515, but we do have the budget there for it. If for whatever reason you think I'm insane for spending that much on an Emperor LNS, you can go for the Nightmare for $20 in minimal wear. We've always kind of joked that this is a bit like a budget Icarus Fell in regards to the color palette you're getting, so take your pick. And then I kind of liked having the surprise option of the Desolate Space for the Emperor A4. Now, once again, you could be making an argument for the Neo Noir, but I really wanted to mix up and get different types of artwork in here, and this has that big beam of cyan color coming through before it gets to the astronaut, and then it's lots of purple. So, while it's not a perfect pairing, there is a sort of nice connection between the two colors. And part of the reason I was avoiding the Neo Noir elsewhere is because it was the best option for the op. Now, this is $25, and you do get a significant amount of the cyan on the op Neo Noir, which is really nice for what we're going for, which is again, it's why I like the likes of the UMP and the Emperor A4 offering something a bit different. As we finish off the CT side, there's flat out only one option you can go for the FAMAS, and of course it's the Waters of Nephthys. This is about $57 in minimal wear. Really nice that this has continued to come down in price, as I say, while other things have been going up. $57, still maybe a lot to spend on a FAMAS for you guys, but you can get a good bit of work done with it, and almost perfect, right? And then whether or not you use the AUG, the fact that the Ricochet is factory new, $50, and it'll fill in nicely, like really good color pairing actually with the style of the gloves as well, and almost like the pattern designs are kind of like aligned. I know you get 3 different types of patterns on the overprints, but they do kind of pair in with the pattern on the skin. As we throw ourselves over to the T side, I didn't want to have an agent that had gold accents, so I went for Sir Bloody Silent Darl, one of the cheaper Darls you can pick up at the minute, and he has silver accents, around $28. The butterfly position for the watch isn't fantastic. Obviously, if you have slightly different view model than me, that might be better, but I think this works really well. And then on the Glock, I actually went for the Water Elemental. I know you may be thinking I'd be going for one of those more cyan Glocks that does exist, and there were options, but Water Elemental is such an OG skin. It's only $6.50 in minimal wear, and it is this massive splash of like water and like bluey cyan in the middle. Just something a little bit different, and we don't always have to have perfect color pairings. On the Titan 9 side of things, I think Avalanche is just flat out going to be the best option. Although the blues are a little bit different with the white elements in there and the orange accents, this is just still one of the best Titan 9 skins in the game, and it'll come in just under $3 for minimal wear. And then the ZZ, if you don't use it, I went for the cheapest option really possible, which is the Polymer. Now, this actually gets a really nice bit of blue and green, which I know you don't see it with the knife, but in theory, the knife colors that are there within this, and god, this is making me want to Phase 3 Gamma Doppler again because they're so damn good. Neon Rider is the easiest pick probably from this whole sort of loadout selection. On the Mac 10, it's going to run you $8.40 in minimal wear. The colors are as close to perfect as you're going to get in Counter-Strike, and that's amazing. And then it's not often I get to suggest the embargo on the PP Bison, but it actually works really nicely here, and it will cost you about $2.60. Again, might seem a lot to spend on a PP Bison, but we are working with a $6,000 loadout here. And as much as I wanted to use the new Wave Breaker, the traction for 20 cent on minimal wear for the P90 is just flat out going to be the best option here. The colors are almost perfect. And then on the Gale, I went for the Cold Fusion. There is the new one that got added. It doesn't really fit the cyan colors enough. I think it's called like Robin's Nest or Robin's Egg, something like that. And then the other one is the Aqua Terrace, which is just an absolutely absurd price. So we're just going to have to chill with the cheap 7-cent Cold Fusion here. And it is what it is. Alright, I then have 3 AK options that you guys could consider going for. First up, you may have thought it from the Mac 10, the Neon Rider is going to be my pick. Now, you want to get this in factory new, which will cost you $152, but this skin does wear pretty badly, so even in minimal wear, you'd be looking at significant scrapes coming through. So I think when the budget's there, 100% factory new, and this just looks fantastic. Much like the A1S situation, if you wanted to go something cheaper, we've got a great option. It's the Ice Cold. It will only cost you $8 in minimal wear, and this on a budget level with overprints has always been a very, very nice pairing because it is essentially the gradient color it has is very aligned with what you get on like the Gamma Doppler Phase 3s. And then if you like the idea of something different and you wanted to spend more than the Neon Rider, then I think going for the Be the Monster could be a shout. It will run you $270 in minimal wear, but there are cyan elements in the magazine and at the end of the gun where your left hand holds it, so it can pair in pretty nicely while getting a mix of colors. Plus, it's a newer skin, and sometimes people just like going for that. And then, while I can never really suggest the Op Fever Dream because of how bad it wears, the Scout is a whole different story. This still wears really nicely in the minimal wear, and it's only $1.06. The blues are really good for what you pair with the gloves, and then the pink is always like a complementary color to this sort of cyan blue. And we ended a little bit disappointing on the SG because it is going to be the Aloha, but the plus side is it's only 10 cent in minimal wear. It is pattern based and it does have these light blue leaves on them, but again, not 100%, but you rarely use this weapon, so for 10 cent, getting this in as the filler is a good job. Now, obviously, so much for this budget went into the knife, but that was the request, and I gotta say, it is a fantastic knife. This is one of my favorite butterfly knives in the game, because honestly, it might look better than an Emerald, and that might be a surprise take, but if you went for the Neon Rider in this loadout and the Icarus Fell, all these prices are going to be with the Icarus Fell, the loadout cost would be $5,855, so we're leaving close to a $150 buffer there to go and do a craft. You could look at doing the sort of craft that's on the AK now, or you could go for something cheaper across the board. And then just to mention it, if you wanted to go for the Ice Cold, obviously you're going to be saving almost $150. That gives you $300 for crafts. If you wanted to go for the Be the Monster, it's an extra $120 on top of the Neon Rider, leaving you about $30 buffer. So you can get them all in. And this overall was a very interesting loadout. And I like the fact that although it's a Gamma Doppler knife, we're able to go for different weapon skin colors. because that's not commonly what people would go for, and I think it looks pretty damn good. So you guys can have your thoughts in the comments down below. Hopefully you liked it, and you know, if you want to be included or featured in these loadout build-out videos, all you have to do is be in the Discord, and I'll announce ahead of time that we're taking submissions for them, and you can send a submission. And just before I thank the YouTube members, the reminder is YouTube members get to jump to the queue and get their video made basically immediately. So if that is ideal to you, check that join button down below and become a member. And a big thank you to all the members. We've covered your videos already, but you continue supporting. It's greatly appreciated. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.